A recent jobs report for April has shifted the tone on Wall Street, sparking hopes of a rate cut by the Federal Reserve. The report indicated lower job and wage growth than economists had anticipated, leading to renewed expectations that the Fed might lower interest rates to counter slowing economic momentum. This unexpected development has influenced investor sentiment and market dynamics, with implications for various sectors. Shift in expectations. The cooler-than-expected jobs report for April has prompted a shift in expectations on Wall Street, with investors now considering the possibility of rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. This contrasts with earlier sentiments of high interest rates persisting for an extended period. Market reaction following the release of the jobs report. The S&P 500 surged more than 1%, marking its best performance in over 2 months. Similarly, the Russell 2000 index, which tracks smaller companies sensitive to economic fluctuations, also experienced gains, signaling optimism among investors. The impact on interest rates. Rapid changes in interest rates have a significant impact on stock market performance. The 2-year Treasury yield experienced a notable decline, reflecting investors' sensitivity to fluctuations in interest rates. Federal Reserve stance. Recent comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell suggested that further rate hikes were unlikely, aligning with market expectations of potential rate cuts in the near future. Investors now anticipate rate cuts, with September emerging as a probable timeline. Currency markets. Expectations of falling interest rates have led to a sell-off in the dollar, benefiting countries grappling with currency devaluation due to unexpected dollar strength earlier in the year. Cautious optimism. While the jobs data has bolstered hopes of imminent rate cuts, some investors urge caution, emphasizing the need for sustained progress before anticipating such measures. A single month's data may not suffice to establish a trend, and future economic indicators could influence the Fed's decision-making process. Conclusion. The recent jobs report has injected new momentum into Wall Street, fueling hopes of rate cuts by the Federal Reserve amid signs of slowing economic growth. However, caution prevails among some investors, who stress the importance of continued progress and vigilance in monitoring economic trends to guide future policy decisions. The Federal Reserve, like a big bank, is doing something important that not many people notice. They're slowly reducing the amount of money they have in a process called quantitative tightening (QT). This can affect how much it costs to borrow money and how much people can spend. Let's understand what this means and why it matters. What's happening? The Fed is like a giant bank. Instead of lending money to people, it buys things like bonds and mortgages. Now it's selling some of these things slowly. This is called quantitative tightening. Why does it matter? When the Fed sells these things, it can make it a bit harder for people to borrow money. It can also make things like buying a house or car more expensive, because interest rates might go up. How big is it? The Fed used to have a ton of these bonds and things, like $9 trillion worth. Now they have about $7.4 trillion. Even though they've sold a lot, they still have a huge amount. What's the risk? Sometimes when the Fed sells too much too quickly, it can cause problems in the economy. This happened in 2019. So the Fed is being careful this time to avoid causing trouble. What's next? The Fed is planning to keep selling these things slowly for a while. But this can affect how the economy works, so people are watching closely. Conclusion. The Fed is making a big change that can affect how much it costs to borrow money and how much people can spend. It's important to understand what's happening because it can impact everyone, from students to adults. The 2024 presidential race gained momentum this week as candidates clashed over key issues, including the economy and immigration. Job numbers sparked debate. The release of the latest jobs report, revealing lower than expected job growth in April, ignited controversy among contenders. Former President Donald J. Trump seized the opportunity to criticize the figures, labeling them horrible. As he entered a courthouse for his ongoing trial in New York. Arrest of campaign consultant, adding to the political turbulence. Trent Poole, a prominent consultant for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s independent presidential campaign, faced assault charges following an altercation at a Manhattan hotel. The incident highlighted tensions surrounding the campaign and raised questions about the behavior of campaign staffers. Immigration policies under scrutiny amidst the electoral fervor. Former President Trump's immigration proposals came under fire from leaders of Latino and immigrant rights organizations. Denouncing his plans as unconstitutional and warning of potential racial profiling, these groups challenged Trump's stance on immigration and its implications for democracy. Governor's clarification raises eyebrows. Meanwhile, Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota stirred controversy with claims in her upcoming book about meeting North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. However, a spokesperson later clarified that the anecdote was erroneous, casting doubt on the accuracy of the governor's assertions. Trump's firm immigration stance. In a revealing interview with Time magazine, Donald Trump doubled down on his hardline immigration stance, characterizing migrant arrivals at the southern border as an invasion. He outlined plans for a sweeping deportation operation if re-elected, underscoring the divisive nature of immigration policy in the upcoming election.